He has actually articulated again and again a sense of urgency and concern about young people. For instance, in the last election, he several times talked about the need to protect student loans for American students. This is a huge issue. Even if you are a member of the middle class, sending your children to college, which is an entry into a better life in America, is for many unaffordable. And that kind of concern, I think, is something that young people really respond to. Another issue is that young Americans are told all the time that they are unpolitical and not involved in the political process. I think Obama directly counteracted that with the use of social media, with putting that really important seminal speech of his, the Perfect Union speech about race from March 2008 on YouTube, and recognizing the power of YouTube to speak to people. Also, through having people at his rallies send text messages to their friends saying, support Obama now, send in a donation. And it doesn't matter if that donation is less than $25. By having an incredible amount of young people be on the ground and going out and reaching out to other young people, he has spoken to people. And finally, then I'd have to speak about his personal appeal. Obama, even now a little grayer, a little older, is very cool. And that starts with his sunglasses. It starts with the fact that he plays a mean game of basketball. It starts with the fact that a number of celebrities that have a huge amount of cultural appeal, like will.i.am, Scarlett Johansson, they get out there and they speak for him. So there are many reasons. And this isn't just true of Germany. I have a godchild in Sweden. And it was coming up to the election. She said to her mother, "Oh, you're voting for Obama, aren't you?" And her Swedish mother said, "I can't vote." And she said, "But it's so important. You need to vote, Mom." One of the reasons in Germany that I think Obama retains his enormous appeal, he is seen as a world citizen and someone who is genuinely interested in moving towards more multilateral policies, whether that's about climate change or about military issues. Second of all, I believe that Germany is less extreme and less polarized in its political climate than the United States is. So from our perspective here in Germany, one can see some of the actually relatively moderate positions that Obama has without needing to put them in an extremist left or right camp. Third of all, and this is a topic that's come up a lot at this conference, what are the differences between German and American culture and also political culture? I think Obama's, what is seen as his enthusiasm, his ability to inspire people through his speeches, his authenticity, and his sense of genuinely caring and reaching out is seen in contradistinction to boring German politicians and is seen with a lot of approval. The decision to go on with Obama was to say that this is a president whose policies we can trust. The economic crisis is not over, but the situation is perceived as getting better, and there's a trust that policies that Obama enacted, like the Recovery Act, are in fact taking hold. Secondly, this is a time of entrenchment. If I believe the biggest policy change that Obama enacted, and truly an extraordinary piece of social legislation, has been the Affordable Care Act, also now known as Obamacare. I believe getting this in place will be extraordinarily important for futures of U.S. Americans. Finally, other issues like changing immigration policy to actually account for the fact that many, many Americans living in America do not have American citizenship and need to be given away to take more part in American society. Finally, also with the recent shootings in Connecticut, the issue of gun control. I believe these are all issues that Obama will work on during this administration. First of all, I've lived in Germany for more than half of my life. So I see myself in some ways as being bicultural in my perspective. What I believe happens, and this is not just my own story, but it's the story of anyone who has lived in another culture and in another language for a long time, is that you realize that nothing is right only just one way. Put the things that you grew up with, that you thought of as selbstverständlich, they are always this way, into brackets and say, maybe it's not quite as right as it seems. There are many aspects of German culture and politics that I profit from enormously. Our social net, it helps the students in my university to go to school and to be in my classes. It's just one aspect. I like Germans' very deliberate parliamentary politics. And these are all things that I've come to appreciate and also to question and to think about both the American and the German system more critically through having lived in another culture and language for half of my life.